when we're finally done with all this, which I'm hoping happens, I hope we finish up Unit 1. I think when we mapped it out, I'm looking at my my calendar that Sigmund and I put together. Probably after we get back, fingers crossed that we're actually back in school in a couple weeks, even if it's just hybrid. That will take some time to slow down, practice this stuff, make sure we get it down. But this remote time is a tough time to do that for me because I can't really get around to each one of you and see your work and help you, instead of doing a breakout, an individual breakout room, and hold your work up, and it's just a lot harder that way. So I'm hoping that knocking some of this intro stuff out while we're remote, although not super exciting at times, I totally get that, just kind of covers us for once we get back. So that's kind of my plan when it comes to this stuff. So expanding a little bit on what we've done so far, and especially when it comes to one of the more important things from yesterday. I know we did mean, median, and mode yesterday. I want to focus mostly on the median and what that kind of tells us about a set of data. And analyzing data is kind of the whole point here. And I know data decisions, yeah, well, now we need the statistics to back up all of the decisions that we were making, right? Okay, cool. I'm gonna look on this screen for a second. Okay, so this is lesson number 4. So no extra day of practice like we did with the histogram stuff. I think mean, median, mode is right there. And man, if you are not using Google Sheets to do all this, you are putting yourself at such a disadvantage. It is so fast and so easy to just type in equals, median, parentheses, and then you just highlight the data, press enter, and there it is. It'll tell you exactly what you need to do. The formula for average, add them all up and divide by however many there are. Well, what if you miscount? Or what if you miss a number? What if I type something wrong in my calculator? If you put it into Google Sheets and you type it in right, then you never have to worry about making those kind of mistakes. So let's get going so I can try to get you out of here as early as possible. And just a heads up, nothing live tomorrow. Obviously, our Fridays, we try to give you that day off of spending quite as much time staring at your web camera or having a look at my face. But I'll have another reflection for you that'll count for attendance, but we'll also kind of use your answers to some of those questions to help kind of guide what we're doing. Sigmund and I have a lot of freedom in this class to do what we want, but really to do what you guys want within reason. So hopefully we can get some good responses to that. Please do that. I'll send that out. I did it as a Canvas quiz. I'll just probably do it that way. Again, it's just easy to keep track of stuff that way. And we'll go from there. So stuff that you want to have out ready to go today for sure. That lesson 4 notes, whether you have the copies from school or you open it up from the announcement today, there's a PDF of that. Or you can handwrite it. It's just easier, so you have less to write. And then definitely that data in that Google Sheet, which is the second link in the second bullet. Make a copy of it. Title it your name, so whatever your name is, and then lesson 4 data, and move it to that Prob stat folder that you made yesterday. Because if you shared the folder with me, then you don't have to share this sheet with me. Okay. If you didn't share that folder with me, or you didn't make that folder, go to your drive, press the plus sign in the top left-hand corner, new folder, call it Prob stat, share that folder with me. Okay. But click on that link, definitely data in a Google Sheet. For the lesson 4 stuff, I'm going to pull it up on my side because I've got it up here. And always a good idea to put it in order. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen so you can watch me do it in case you need a refresher on how to do it. But this way, our data for the whole day, all ready to go. We don't have to worry about separately ordering. Oh, I pressed no, wrong thing. There we go. Present. So thank you guys for being here, waking up for me. It's awesome to see you all. I always like to see your faces too, so if you don't mind turning your camera on, it makes me happy. Just so I know that you're actually there. I love that. If you're not, camera ready. I don't care if you look like this. That's fine. This is how I woke up this morning. Or if you look like this, I don't care. You don't have to show the world your whole face. I just like to know that you're actually there. Cool. So presenting, here we go. So here's my sheet. I'm going to go to the Rosinger tab so I'm not messing up the Sigmund stuff. What I tried to do to make things a little bit easier is I already ordered the data for example 1 and example 2. So when you see that on your notes, we won't have to do that. But D, E, F, and G are not ordered yet. But here's what I want you to start doing. I don't want you to click on column D and order the whole thing, because eventually we're going to do some stuff down here and I don't want it to get all screwed up. So just select the data. Okay. So I'm just clicking and dragging down. So I select all of that data, sort range, practice A, because I click the header row, and then from A to Z. Okay. Same thing with B. Now here's another option too. You don't have to click the practice B part. You can just select the numbers, sort range, and then don't click the data has header row, and then sort it. Maybe that's one fewer click, and that's always a good thing, right? So maybe you don't worry about actually selecting the word practice C in column F. You just select the data that you actually want to rearrange. Sort range, I don't click this, because if I click that, then it's not going to take 134 and move it around. It's going to think that that's your title of whatever column you're in, and that's obviously not what we want to do. So I'm going to keep that unclicked and sort it. Or you can click it and click as header row. That's cool too. But I'm going to do this. Now I've got more data here. So as I scroll and I get below that 44, it'll slide down for me. The further down I am, the faster it scrolls down. All right, so if I'm at the top here, I don't know how much data I've got. Maybe I'll peek real quick. Oh, okay, I got to get down to row 34, which is not far from the row 28 where my view stops. So when I go down past the 44.4, I'm not going to go very far, because I don't want it to go down too quickly, because then I have to back up. Cool. So a lot of data points in that one. Again, if I click data has header row, it's not going to sort the 84.4. That's no good. I want that to get sorted A to Z. Sweet. There we go. All right, so a bunch of different ones that we'll do today, but we are going to rely so heavily on Google Sheets doing all the work, but I want you to get why we're doing it. So I'm going to talk through the ideas for today using the PowerPoint that Sigmund has been so kind and generous to put together for us. And then I always try to look it over and catch any mistakes that happen. So that's what I'm going to share now, but it's on, I think I put it on today's announcement in case you want to open that up yourself. And once you get the hang of it, you can work through things a little bit faster if you want. But I want us to all kind of stick together for now. When you're done, of course, there's that on the announcement, submit your work here for the day. If you have this sheet shared with me, you're good to go. Now, if you made this, right, you click to copy, it just opened it up. It is not currently in your ProbStat folder. Again, I just want to show you, remind you how to move things around easily from the sheet itself. That folder with the arrow next to the title. So yours hopefully says your name. All right, hopefully it looks like that. And then click on that folder. Now for me, I'm actually in like my teacher drive that we have in the math department. So I would have to back way out to get back to my drive. All right, so, but you just might be sitting right here in your drive. Maybe it's just sitting just like that. You just want to pick the right folder. So I've got a lot of different things going on. So I've got my ProbStat folder. So I would just move, like go to the ProbStat folder and I would move it right there. Or maybe I was smart enough, my drive, I think maybe it was my other one. I don't know why I have two ProbStat folders. That's weird. You click on that one. Oh, that was the one that was shared with me. Cool. So there we go, ProbStat, and I would move it right there. Click there, and then it's in the folder that's already shared. Sweet. Okay, cool. Hopefully that worked out okay. You guys are feeling pretty good. All right, what we're going to do today, lesson number 4, it's called a 5-number summary of data, and it's all based on the median. Where's the median? But also, like, where's the beginning and where's the end? Like, what's the lowest number? What's the highest number? And then where's the middle between those? Because if we remember when we found the median yesterday, we kind of like, All right, we took the lowest number and the highest number and we got rid of those. And then we got rid of those. And then kind of in until we made it to the middle. And if there was one middle number, we were good. If there were two middle numbers, we just found the average between those, okay? And so what we're really dealing with is what's called descriptive statistics, okay? And you're actually gonna see that your Infinite Campus uses descriptive statistics to help you figure out how you're doing comparatively to like other people in the same class or other people in the same grade or whatever it is, right? So we want to be able to summarize and describe certain characteristics of data. Does it have, so two things, right? Two basic kind of categories, measures of central tendency. In other words, where's the center and how does the data fall around that center? Is it all really close? Is it super spread out? Is it all kind of lumped onto one side of the center and then there's just a couple points down here or vice versa, right? So central tendency means, okay, where's the center and what is that, and how does the rest of the data fall compared to that? And then variability, how spread out is it? Is the range super, super wide? Like, do we go from 1 to 100 or do I go from like 3 to 6 or 4 to 12? Or 10 to 90, right? So what that spread is, okay? And by putting those ideas together, we get a more complete picture of what we're looking at. And I don't have to look at one number all the way through. I can look at some of these descriptive statistics to give me a picture of what's happening, okay? And we only need 5 numbers to do that, which is why this is called the 5-number summary, okay? And what you're gonna see is we're gonna look at the beginning, which we'll call the minimum. We'll go to the end, which we'll call the maximum. We'll find the middle, which is called the median. And what that's going to do is it's going to break the data up into 2 pieces, right? The first half and the second half, right? So the first 50% and the last 50%. And what we'll do from there is we will take that first 50%, that first half, and we're going to find the middle of that. We'll just find, all right, where is the middle of that? Where is that first 25% gonna lie? And then we'll do it again with the back half. I'll say, okay, here's my 50% to 100%. There's the last 50% of this stuff. Where's the middle of that? I wanna know where the 70, like if I listed people in order from 1 to 100, right? Where's the first person? Where's the last person? Where's the 50th person, right? That's good, right? If I took 100 random people and I lined them up in terms of height, right? Where's the shortest person? Where's the tallest person? Who's the one in the middle? But, you know, who's maybe like the 25th person and who's the 75th person? Because that'll kind of give me an idea of where those middles lies as well, okay? And those numbers all have names, okay? We're gonna call the smallest one the minimum. Makes sense, right? We'll call the largest one the maximum. And we know that when we split stuff in that kind of order from least to greatest, and we just pick the middle one, we always call that the median, right? And that's just the midway point of the data, okay? Now, those other numbers, right? The 25th person and the 75th person, we wanna give that a name and we call those quartiles, right? And you can see kind of the root in that word quarter, right? Quarter, that's what we're breaking it up to, and we're just breaking it up into quarters, all right? So the 25th person and the 75th person. So we've got the minimum, then we've got what's called the first quartile, which we're just going to make our life a whole lot easier and just call it Q1, Q sub 1, okay? That's super, super helpful, so I don't have to write out this whole word, I can just call it Q1. Okay, but knowing the word quartile is going to help us when we get to Google Sheets and knowing, because that's what we're going to type in. You know, I typed in equals median, I typed in equals minimum, I'm going to type in equals maximum, I'm going to have to type in equals quartile. But you can see that we use the same word, right? So first quartile is that 25th percent. I could call the median the second quartile, because that's the 50th%, but median, middle, that kind of sounds nice. And so we skip calling this the second quartile because we have a nice name for it. We just call that 75th person, we'll call them the third quartile or Q sub 3. That's the best thing that I can do. Hopefully you guys are like looking at my arrows. I'm trying to circle stuff so you know when I know it's a little choppier on the stream than it is on my side. But that's 75% of the data is going to fall below that. right? So the first person, nobody's before them. The 25th person, 25% of the data falls below that. Median, 50% falls below, 75, 75th person, 75% falls below, and 100. Everybody that's left falls below them, okay? So hopefully you are jotting some stuff down on those notes so that you can have this stuff to look back at, so you know what these words are. The biggest thing for me, I think, is just being able to say, okay, I know what Q1 means, what Q sub 1 means, right? It's the first quartile, it's that 25th person. And having that kind of mindset, you know, order 100 people from 1 to 100 by anything you want, by height, by age, by weight, by grades, by salary, by number of shoes that they have in their closet, right? Whatever, right? Order them from least to greatest. And let's find some middles. Find the middle of the whole group. And then let's find the middle of that first half and find the middle of the second half. All right, so that's the middle of the first half is called the first quartile. The middle of that back half, that's called the third quartile. But you're going to hear me say Q1 and Q3 a lot. Cool? Questions on that? Feeling all right? The new stuff, I know. It's statistics. You've never had a statistics class before, probably. Most of us, if not everybody. The ideas aren't hard, they're just new. All right, cool. Let's try it. Let's just try a couple together. And we're going to, because this is already ordered by hand, and there's not many, let's just do it by hand rather than jumping into that Google Sheet. But you'll see that the answers that we get will be backed up by what we type in, okay? So given the following set of data, find the 5-number summary. And it's up to you to remember when you see those words, that is minimum, first quartile, median, third quartile, and max. But you can see how I wrote them at the bottom, right? Min, Q1, median, MED, first 3 letters is good, Q3, and then max. Okay, so I've been talking all week long. I want to hear from you guys. Help me out. I'm here with you. I'm not here by myself, even though it's so lonely in here. Somebody, where's the minimum? Unmute yourself. Give me a shout.
3.
Boom. There it is. There's your minimum. Drop it down. All right, it's so nice when it's already ordered like this. Okay, let's do the next easiest one, which is the maximum. Where's the max?
21.
Boom. There it is. I love it so much. I put a heart around it. There it is. Okay, 21. All right. Now, somebody remind us, if we have to do this by hand, how do we find the middle? How do I find the point that lies in the middle, the median?
You cross out 1 from each side until you come to the middle.
Cool. So 3 and 21 get crossed out. And again, I do it really lightly so I can still see those numbers. Cross those out, the 5 and the 18, the 7 and the 14, the 8 and the 13. And if you get to just a single number, ta-da, there it is. There's the middle. Okay, there's your median right there. Now, what that does is it kind of removes that number from all other consideration for trying to find the first quartile and the third quartile. I am not going to think about 12 as part of the first half or the second half. That's the middle. And so I'm going to drop that from my thought process. And what I do now is I just look at the 3, the 5, the 7, and the 8. And I imagine that that is my only data that I care about. And what I'm going to do with this whole, well, come back. Oh my goodness. Come back. Where are you guys? There you are. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, you know what? All right, 12 I'm not going to count. But if I want to find the middle between these 4 numbers, I'm going to do that same process. Jason just said, I'm going to do that same process again. I'm going to take the first number, 3, I'm going to cross that one out. And the 8, in my mind, the last number in that first half, I'm going to cross that out. Okay? So when I'm thinking about the first quartile, I drop the median, I look at those numbers, and I say, okay, where's the middle of 3, 5, 7, and 8? Well, if I drop off 3 and 8, I only have 5 and 7 left. And if I cross both of those out, I don't have a middle anymore to deal with. So somebody, give me a shout. Remind me, if you have two numbers in the middle, how do we find the median between those two?
You would add them together and then divide by how many numbers there are.
There you go. Add them up, see what you get. So 5 plus 7 is 12. Divide by 2, because we only have two numbers. 12 divided by 2 is 6. And so there's Q1. Okay. So when you end up with two numbers, just average them, right? Because when we say median, we say middle. Like, what's the middle between 5 and 7? Oh, the middle is 6. That makes sense. Okay. And we do the same thing with the back half. Okay. 13, 14, 18, and 21. Cross off the 13 and the 21. I can't cross off the 14 and the 18 because I've got nothing left. And so just think about it. Like, don't even do the math with the adding and the dividing. If your numbers are 14 and 18, somebody give me a shout. What's the middle between 14 and 18?
16.
That's it, right? And it's gonna back that up when we add them together, get 32, divide by however many there are, it's gonna be 16. So if you can just realize that all we're gonna try to do is find the middle between two numbers, yeah, that's the average, but you might be able to do it faster by having that kind of mindset. And so there's your 5-number summary at the bottom. Minimum's 3, quartile 1, the first quartile is 6, median is 12, Q3, your third quartile is 16, and your max is 21. And you'll see once we get to next week how we'll kind of visualize these numbers, and it's going to help us understand measures of central tendency and variability, that spread. Okay, the visualization makes it so much easier, but we have to get these numbers to do it. Okay, let's do another one. We'll do one more by hand just to make sure we've got it, and then I'll show you the Google Sheets. Oh my gosh, we'll do practice A together, and then you guys can knock out the rest. So nice, because all we really need to be able to do is find these numbers. And then next week, I'll show you how to graph them. And once we visualize it, oh my God, it's everything. I can tell everything I would need to know about those two kind of descriptive statistics. All right, cool. All right, it's already sorted, so super easy to find the minimum, super easy to find the maximum. All right, minimum's 1, max is 20. Okay. Now, when we get to Google Sheets, realistically, we don't have to sort them. The formulas are going to do them themselves. It'll just look at it and it'll do all the sorting for us. I just wanted to remind you how to do that sort data, but also talk about that whole header row thing. All right, cool. Let's find the median by really quickly knocking off one from the front, one from the back, one from the front, one from the back, one from the front, one from the back, boom, 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 all the way down. All right, so I've got a lot more numbers here, so it takes a little bit longer, which is why this is the last one we're going to do by hand. And then we're going to jump into Google Sheets and let the technology take over. Why have technology if we're not going to use it, right? I want you to understand where this stuff comes from. Cool. We have an even number of points here, though, which is why we end up with 2 numbers in the middle. So if you end up with 7 and 8, I wonder if it's going to circle them. Yeah, nice. I forget what I've done so far. What's the middle between those numbers? It was kind of easy for 5 and 7, and it's just 6, right? Between 14 and 18, it was just 16. But there's no integer between 7 and 8. So what do you think is the middle between those two?
7.5.
And that's okay. We don't actually have to have like a number that's a whole number necessarily, even though all of our numbers are whole numbers. When we find the average between those two, it's still nice to have, okay, 7.5 is, it's not that it's the middle point, like it's not a middle data point. There's not an actual 7.5 in this list anywhere. Just like there was no 6, there's no 16 in example 1. It's okay. I just want to know where the middle is. Right? No cars can drive down the median, right? But it's still there. Okay. All right. Now I do the same thing where I think about kind of chopping off numbers from the first half, right? But now that our number of data points is even, like 7.5 is sitting right here, right in between. And I don't include that, right? The median gets dropped from my mindset when I think about finding Q1. So, but 7's not part of that. 7 wasn't the median. 7.5 is. There's this imaginary 7.5 that's sitting right there, right? Look at my arrow. 7.5 is sitting right here. So when I start chopping off numbers from the first half, I can chop off that 7 that's right there. And then the 2 and the 7, the 2 and the 7, the 3 and the 6. Oh, I've got an even number. Let's find the middle, adding them up, dividing by however many there are. Okay, so 5. Okay, then do it with the back half. Right, chop off the 8 and the 20, the 11 and the 18, the 12 and the 17, the 15 and the 17, and oh man, I got 15 and 15. That's my last two numbers that I've got in that top half of all this data. Well, if I'm going to find the middle between 15 and 15, it's just 15, right? You average two numbers together that are the same, you're getting the same thing. Right? I got a 90 on my first test, I got a 90 on my second test. What's my average? 90, right? And that's all we're doing. And what you can start to see, and what I want you to start looking at, is if we go from 1 to 20, right? From 1 to 20, the middle of that would be like 10, right? If I had 20 people, the middle person is person number 10, but my median right here is 7.5. And so what I want you to start realizing is that if we think about how many points we've got, and I kind of what that range is from 1 to 20, if the middle is not the average of those numbers, and it's a little bit higher, or in this case, a little bit lower, what that tells us is how many points we have in certain areas. If my median is lower than where the middle is in my mind between 1 and 20, that means I've got more points less than 10 than I do have more points greater than 10, right? And it's not many, right? We just had like these two extra, right? Because here's 10 right here would be between 8 and 11. We've got more points down here than we do up there. And that's what I'm talking about in terms of like variability, or even the central tendency. Like, okay, where is the center in my mind between 1 and 20, but where's the center of the data? The center of the data is at 7.5, which means I got more points down below than I do above.
Rosengren,
yeah, hit me.
How do you know which ones to pick when it's uneven?
What do you mean? Back up.
I'm.
So are you talking about, so the median, are you good with the median right there? Or no?
So when you like pick the Qs or whatever,
yes,
like you have an uneven set of numbers and you get down to like, there's like 3 of them for like a Q, how do you know to pick like just the 2, if that makes sense?
So
because like you had like, let's see, 1, 2, because you would have 15, 15, 17. Unless, do you still cross?
Yeah, so with the first half, I got down to 4 and 6, right? So here's the thing. Maybe this didn't click. So when you've got your median is 7.5, which if you look at my arrow on my screen is right in between these numbers. And remember, I'm going to go back a slide. Remember that when we did this one, that when we found that 12 was the median, and we're trying to find Q1, I cannot use the median as part of that like set of data. I've already used it as one of my, because remember, the median is like quartile 2. So I've got quartile 1, quartile 2, and quartile 3. And if I've already used that middle quartile, that median, as part of like a number in my 5-number summary in the middle there, not the min or the max, those are just min and max. But I have to drop the median. So when I cross numbers out, I've got 3 and 8. Like you see those red lines go over that. I don't include 12 as part of me crossing stuff out because that was the median. And I get to 5 and 7 and I find the average. So that gets me to there. Same thing when I go to this top half up here. I can't use 12 as part of my figuring out which numbers to cross out. So I do 13 and 21. I got 2 numbers left, so I find the middle between those by averaging them. Okay? When we get to example 2, I have that same mindset where I'm not going to include the median. So I'm crossing off numbers to find the median. Okay, I get to here. Now, example 1, there was a middle number, right? We had 12. That was the middle, so that number went straight down. because there was an odd number of points. Here we've got an even number. So when I find the median between 7 and 8, I just find the average. Okay, cool, 7.5. That's my median. It's like there's this number right here between them that is the median that I am not going to include when I start chopping numbers off. But the 7 is not the median, right? And so when I'm finding the first quartile, like there is a line in my mind right here where, okay, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 6, 6, 7, 7, and 7. That's the bottom half of this that doesn't include the median. So when I start chopping those off, look where the red line is. I am going to take this one with me. Does that make sense? And then 2 and 7, 2 and 7, 3 and 6, and then I get to 4 and 6. If I have 2 numbers left, I just find the average between them. And I do it again for the top half, but the 8 and the 20 can both go. I'm not going to save the 8 as part of my median because the 8 isn't the median. 7.5 is the median. The 8 and the 20, the 11 and the 18, the 12 and the 17, the 15 and the 17, and then I get to here. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
If we had, so let's say, all right, watch this. Watch this. Maybe this will help. Come with me. Okay. Imagine just in here, okay? Let's say we had, got to pick the right number of numbers for this to work. Let's see if it works. Let's say I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's say I had 6 numbers. Okay, and you just watch, you don't have to write this down. Okay, so there's my min of 1. Okay, I don't know if you can see this. Hopefully the pen is all right. I'm gonna grab it. Okay, there's a min, there's my max. If I want to find the median, I just start chopping off numbers. 1 and 6 are gone. 2 and 5 are gone. But I can't cross off 3 and 4 because then there's nothing left, right? So I find that these are my numbers that are left. And so if I want to find the median, I just go halfway in between. Okay, so I average 3 and 4, so I get 3.4. Are we cool to there? Okay, now there's this number in here, right? There's my median of 3.5, okay? When I try to find quartile 1, and I'll do it down here, quartile 3, I don't include the median when I'm chopping numbers off. But 3 is not the median. And so when I look at this bottom half of this data, when I start chopping numbers off again, 1 and 3 are both going to go. What's the only number left? 2. That would be Q1. What we see in this example is the number of data points that we have, that when I do that chopping off, I still had like 2 numbers left, so I still had the average then, okay? Again, when I do the top half here, the median's right here, that 3.5. So when I start chopping numbers off, 4 and 6 are both gonna go. And so there's Q3. Does that make sense? Do you guys see that? Does that answer? I don't know who was even asking that question, but whoever that was, did that help?
Yeah, it helped.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, the reason why we end up having to do that whole, like I end up with 2 numbers and I have to average them together. Let me go back to sharing the presentation so you can see it, so I can explain why it happens. It has to do with how many numbers we've got, okay? In an example, like, I can go back to this one, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 data points, right? When we have 9, we can find the median, right? Because there's an odd number, so there's going to be a middle. But when I do that, now I've got, because there were 9, I only have 8 numbers left, 4 for the bottom and 4 for the top. And because I have an even number of points left, there is no middle number. I'd have to find the average. Okay, again, up here, right, 4 numbers left. So when I do that, I have to find the average. Here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. There are 20 points. Okay, and when I find 20 points and I try to find the middle of that, there is no middle because it's even, so I have to find the average. But when I do that, when I end up with a number like 20 different points, when I find the middle, now I still have 10 numbers below, right? 0 through 7, or sorry, 1 through 7 on this list, right? And I still have 10 numbers above, 8 through 20. Both of those sets are even. And so I'm not going to have a middle. I have to do that whole averaging thing again. That's why it kind of works out the way that it does, which is why this can be kind of hard to do by hand, right? And we can easily make mistakes and say, oh, I shouldn't include the 8 because that was part of my formula for the median or whatever, right? It's really easy to kind of make those mistakes. And so what I want to do is kind of help you see how Google Sheets can take those ideas. Now that you've seen them and you can kind of wrap your heads around them, that we can just wrap this up. And I'll show it to you once. Hopefully you can have it shared with me. You just knock it out for all of these. All you have to do is type in the formula a handful of times and you'll be good to go. Okay, so I'm going to get out of here, but these are the practice ones we're gonna do. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 different ones. Obviously all of these points are gonna take a little while. This is, I would say, the most interesting one because A, B, and C are just random points. This is actual data, okay? This is the top 33 quarterbacks from this year. This is their QBRs, okay? And so we looked those up. We looked at the QBRs, and this is out of 100. They didn't do that, the adjusted QBR. That's a lot higher than that. So these are your top 33 quarterbacks in terms of QBR. And we just want to see how that spread looks, okay? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to my sheet. I want you to do the same, okay? And what I want to remind you of is a couple of things. Number one, sorting the data is nice if you have to do this stuff by hand. But the formulas within Google Sheets will do all the work for you, okay? And so what I did is if you scroll down, like I'm doing here, rows 35 through 39, I wrote down minimum, Q1, median, Q3, and maximum, okay? We've already done B and C. We did those. If you want to type them in to make sure that the answers that we got together match what's there, cool, you can do that, okay? If not, no big deal. We can start in column D. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click into column D, and I'm going to say equals, okay? Now look at the suggestion. Minimum from D2 all the way through D34, okay? Now the thing about that is I don't want to include all these blank spots, okay? So that's not exactly what I want, okay? If I just pressed enter, it would copy that in there for me, right? Press enter, nice. The nice thing about this is that it's not going to, you see how it says minimum is 1. It doesn't say 0, right? It doesn't look at these blank ones and screw that up, which is so nice. But some other formulas will make a mistake there. So I don't like to include empty cells when I type in formulas, okay? So I'm gonna say equals. Again, it makes that same suggestion based on the data. And it also looks over here, which is crazy. The behind the scenes technology in this software is amazing. But that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna say min, M-I-N. And usually formulas are capitalized. I think we could get away with it though if we went lowercase, still works, okay? And so equals min, parentheses, and then I'm gonna scroll up. What's so nice is the formula follows me. So I know what I'm doing so that as I select this data, it's writing it down here for me so I know I'm doing it right. But you can always look up here too. You can always look. You guys are looking at my arrows. You can look up here to see that. Always close it off. When you press enter, it'll go back down and do that, okay? For quartiles, actually, you know what, we'll go down to maximum because that's the easy one. Equals, if minimum was min, then max is max. So equals max, gotta put the parentheses, copy the data, close parentheses, and enter. Okay, max is 23. Okay, median we already know because that was the same as last one. Equals median. Again, you can just use lowercase. You don't have to capitalize everything. Parentheses, select it, close it, enter. And those are the numbers we got, so that's good. We're off to a good start. Now for quartiles. This is the only one that's weird because there's a first quartile and a third quartile. All right, so we have to type that in a little bit differently. So maybe this is something that you write down. I think, if I'm not mistaken, there is a spot on the notes for you to write some things down when it comes to these formulas. If not, you definitely want to give yourself a space to do that. I think maybe just the space like below D on the second page, or maybe in the space on the first page. Anywhere is good. Here's the formula. Here's how we're going to write it. Okay, equals quartile, okay, parentheses. Now the data, it's got to look in the whole thing, right? So all of D2 through D13, okay? But here's the thing. We have to tell them whether we want the first quartile or the third. So I have to put a comma next, okay? So it's quartile, parentheses, data, and then comma 1 for the first quartile. So I'm going to leave that up so you can write that down, okay? So quartile, parentheses, data, comma 1, just the number 1, okay? Because that'll specify that you want the first quartile and not the third. Okay, so percenter, same thing with Q3. And again, so these aren't numbers we've done yet because this is a new example, which is why we don't recognize them yet. But same thing here with quartile 3, so equals quartile, parentheses, data, close it. Oh no, don't close it because we'd be done and we wouldn't know which quartile, comma 3, close it. There we go. Okay, there's Google Sheets. Equals quartile, lowercase, uppercase, doesn't matter. Okay, it's not case sensitive. Open the parentheses, always with formulas. It's kind of like functions, right? F of x. We need that parentheses so we know what's going in. And what's going in is all of the cells between D2 and D13. And what do we want to do with it? We want to find the third quartile. And the 5-number summary is done. You didn't have to do a thing. Okay, you would just have to do it 3 more times by typing that stuff in. What's nice about Google Sheets, up here in the top right-hand corner, you've got some functions, right? You've got all of them. So if you forget the quartile one, you can go to all and scroll down. There are so many things we can do in Google Sheets. It's so cool. Q is way at the end. LMNOP, Q, LMNOP. There it is, okay? There you go, quartile. Okay.
How do you check your formulas again?
So view and then show formulas. So I'll do that so you guys can see what I typed in to each one. And then I would just do the same thing for column E, column F, and column G, and that's what I would love for you guys to get done. You don't have to stick around. You can get out of here. I know we went longer than I like to. It's just like I talk too much. But I want you guys to understand it and see it and believe in the stuff that we're doing. And like you guys asking those questions was so nice. Like me getting up on the board and showing you why some things work one way and why some things work the other way. That's that. We need that give and take. I need to hear from you guys to hopefully have this stuff sink in just a little more than maybe it normally would if I was just talking and you were just listening. So I'm good. Knock those out. Get that in for me by sometime tonight. And you just make sure that whatever data you choose, just choose what's there. Right? For this, we only need 2 through 11. For this, we only need 2 through 10. And for D, we need all the way from, or for G, practice D, and column G, from 2 through 34, which is why I put these all down here in this row rather than putting like, minimum here, and then the minimum up there, and then the minimum down here. It's all right in one row. The problem with kind of clicking and dragging this across is it's always going to be E2 through E13 and F2 through F13 and G2 through G13 because it's picking the same size data set, but we have different size data sets here that we have to mess around with. So all you'd have to do really is come in here and fix that last number. Oh, it doesn't go to 13. It only goes to 11. And you can see the border around that. Boom. Now it's picking the right one. Okay. Do not go with this suggested autofill. It thinks you want to do the minimum for all of these. right? Watch. If I press enter and I say, yeah, that sounds good, minimum, 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 minimum. No, I don't want that, right? So the suggested autofill, not a good choice for some of these, right? I think this one only went to 10. No, I do not want that, so I'll X that out. And this went all the way to 34. No, I do not want that. So sometimes the autofill is really nice, sometimes it is not. Okay. There you go. I'm good to go. If you guys are good, I'm good. Nothing live tomorrow, just a quick reflection. Get this submitted to me before midnight tonight. So if you want to just knock it out right now, it'll just take you a couple minutes to type the stuff in. I'll kick you off the view formulas because you want the answers, right? We want to be able to see what those numbers actually are. Sometimes it's nice to like put a border around so you don't think like 40.7 is part of those numbers. Maybe you do something like that. Maybe you do something like this, whatever you want. You can make it look however you want. All right, there you go.
Thanks, Rosie.
Thank you for a great second week. So just check Canvas tomorrow for a quick reflection, and then we are off Monday. Enjoy your Monday off. I will catch you guys back here on Tuesday.
Later, Rosie.
You guys are awesome. Thanks. See you guys.
Thank you, Mr. Rosengren.